The great hall of the Villani Imperial Palace was filled with soft laughter. It was not the kind of laughter that came from joy. It was the cruel kind, the kind that cut like a knife. High Empress Vela sat on her throne made of white crystal. Her silver skin glowed under the pale lights. Her cold eyes looked down at her youngest daughter, who stood in the center of the hall. Princess Leora kept her head low. She had learned long ago that looking up only invited more pain. "So it is decided," Prince Kian said with a smile. He was the eldest son, tall and proud. His voice echoed through the hall. "The Human Federation wants a marriage alliance. They want a princess. We will send Leora." More laughter filled the room. Nobles covered their mouths and whispered to each other. Leora felt their eyes on her like burning flames. "The Hollow Princess," someone whispered loud enough for her to hear. Perfect for the primitive humans, Leora did not cry. She had stopped crying years ago when the royal doctors had announced her condition: hollow, barren, unable to carry children. In Villani society, a woman who could not produce heirs was worth less than nothing. She was broken goods. A mistake of nature, her mother, the High Empress, had not looked at her the same way since that day. Her brothers treated her like she did not exist. The servants whispered behind her back. For 10 long years, Leora had lived as a ghost in her own home. Now they were sending her away. 2 humans, the species that the Villani considered barely more than clever animals. "The humans will not know the difference," Kian continued. "They are too simple to understand our biology. By the time they realize we have sent them damaged goods, the treaty will already be signed. We get their military support, and we lose nothing of value." Leora closed her eyes. Nothing of value. That was all she was to them. "Daughter," the High Empress finally spoke. Her voice was ice. "You will go to the human space station called Varus. You will marry the human ambassador there. You will not shame this empire. Do you understand?" Leora looked up. For a brief moment, something flickered in her violet eyes. Was it anger? Pain? Hope? Even she did not know. "Yes, mother," she said quietly. The High Empress waved her hand in dismissal. "Then go. Prepare yourself. You leave tomorrow." Leora bowed and walked out of the great hall. Behind her, the laughter continued. She heard Kian making jokes about her future human husband. She heard nobles betting on how long the marriage would last before the humans discovered her flaw. She kept walking. She did not look back. In her small room at the far end of the palace, Leora packed her few belongings. She did not have much. Hollow princesses did not receive gifts or fine clothes. She had a few simple dresses, some books, and a small crystal flower that her nursemaid had given her when she was a child. The nursemaid was dead now. She was the only person who had ever been kind to Leora, as she held the crystal flower. Leora allowed herself one small thought. Perhaps the humans would kill her quickly. Perhaps that would be better than living as a ghost. The journey to Station Varus took 3 days. Leora traveled alone except for 2 guards who never spoke to her. When the ship finally docked at the station, she felt her heart beating fast. The station was different from anything she had seen before. It was not elegant like Villani architecture. It was practical, made of metal and glass. Bright lights filled the corridors. People of different species walked past, talking and laughing. There was noise and life everywhere. A guard pushed her forward. "Move. The human is waiting." Leora walked through the corridor until she reached a large door. It opened and she stepped inside. The room was warm. Soft yellow light came from lamps on the walls. There were plants in the corners, green and alive. The furniture was simple but comfortable. And standing in the middle of the room was a human man. He was tall, with dark hair and kind eyes. He wore simple clothes, not royal robes or military uniform. When he saw her, he smiled. Not a cruel smile, not a mocking smile, a real smile. "Welcome," he said. His voice was gentle. "I am Taiho. You must be Princess Leora." Leora did not know what to say. No one had ever greeted her with such warmth. She stood frozen, waiting for the insult that would surely come, but Taiho only gestured to a chair. "Please, sit. You must be tired from your journey. Would you like some tea? Tea. He was offering her tea. Like she was a guest. Like she was a person. Leora sat down slowly. Her hands were shaking. Taiho noticed, but said nothing. He poured hot tea into a small cup and placed it in front of her. The smell was strange, but pleasant. I know this must be strange for you, Taiho said, sitting across from her. Coming to a new place? Meeting someone you do not know. I want you to know that you are safe here. This is your home now, if you want it to be. Leora looked at him. She searched his face for lies, for hidden cruelty. She found nothing but honesty. Why are you being kind to me? She asked. Her voice was barely above a whisper. Taiho looked surprised by the question. Why would I not be? You do not know what I am. What they sent you? They sent me a princess, Taiho said simply. A person. That is all I need to know. Something broke inside Leora. Not in a bad way. Like a wall crumbling down. Like light entering a dark room for the first time. Her eyes filled with tears, and before she could stop herself, she was crying. Taiho did not laugh. He did not look disgusted. He simply pushed a small cloth napkin toward her and waited. I am sorry, Leora said, wiping her eyes. I do not know why I am crying. You do not need to apologize, Taiho said. And you do not need to explain. Just know that whatever happened before, this is a new start. For both of us. Leora held the warm teacup in her hands. She looked at this strange human who spoke to her like she mattered, who looked at her like she was real. That night, alone in the room that Taiho had prepared for her, Leora looked out the window at the stars. She thought about the laughing nobles. She thought about her cold mother. She thought about all the years of being invisible. Then she thought about Taiho's smile, about the warm tea, about the words, you are safe here. Perhaps, she thought, being discarded here is not the worst fate. Perhaps it is the beginning of something she had never dared to hope. For perhaps it was a chance to finally live. The first week on. Station Varus was confusing for Leora. Everything. The humans did seemed strange to her. Wrong even. But slowly she began to understand that it was not wrong. It was just different. On the third day, Taiho took her for a walk through the station gardens. It was a large room filled with plants from many different worlds. Water flowed through small streams. Birds sang in the artificial trees. Leora had never seen anything so beautiful. As they walked, Taiho reached over and took her hand. Leora froze. Her whole body went stiff. Among the Villani, touch was only for breeding. Holding hands meant nothing less than an invitation to mate. She felt her face grow hot with shame and confusion. Taiho noticed her reaction and quickly let go. I am sorry. Did I do something wrong? Leora did not know how to explain. Among my people, touch is different. It means something else. I see. Taiho nodded slowly. For humans, holding hands is a way to show care. Friendship, connection, it does not have to mean anything more. But I will not touch you if it makes you uncomfortable. Leora thought about this. A touch that meant care. A touch that was not about duty or breeding, just kindness. No, she said quietly. I think I would like to learn your ways. Taiho smiled and offered his hand again. This time, Leora took it. His palm was warm, strong, safe. They walked through the garden together, hand in hand, and Leora felt something she had never felt before. Peace. 2 weeks later, Taiho's sister arrived at the station. Her name was Yuna. She was younger than Taiho, with bright eyes and a quick laugh. She worked as a xenobiologist, studying alien species from across the galaxy. When Yuna met Leora, she did not bow or treat her like a princess. Instead, she pulled Leora into a hug. Finally, I get to meet you, Yuna said happily. Taiho has told me so much about you. I brought gifts. Do you like chocolate? Please say yes. I brought so much chocolate. Leora stood stiff in the hug, not knowing what to do. Villani did not hug, but the warmth of it felt nice. When Yuna finally let go, Leora found herself smiling. I do not know what chocolate is, Leora admitted. Why Yuna gasped like this was the worst news she had ever heard. Oh no, this is a crime. We must fix this immediately. That evening, the three of them sat together in Taiho's quarters. Yuna had spread out different types of chocolate on the table. Dark chocolate, milk chocolate, chocolate with nuts, chocolate with fruit. Leora tried each one, and her eyes went wide with every bite. This is wonderful, she said. How do humans create such things? We have spent thousands of years perfecting the art of chocolate, Yuna said seriously. It is our greatest achievement as a species. 8, Taiho laughed. She is joking. Mostly. Leora laughed too. It was a small laugh, quiet and surprised, like she had forgotten how to do it. But it was real. Yuna and Taiho looked at each other with warm smiles. As the weeks passed, more humans entered Leora's life. Taiho's best friend Minho visited often. He was a military captain with a loud voice and a bigger heart. He taught Leora how to play human card games. She lost every time, but Minho always cheered for her anyway. You are getting better, he would say, even when she clearly was not. Soon, you will beat all of us. Leora began to notice something. The humans saw her. They talked to her, asked her questions, listened to her answers. They did not look through her like she was invisible. They did not whisper behind her back. For the first time in her life, Leora felt like she existed. But not everyone was kind. The Villani ambassadors who were stationed on the other side of the station made sure of that. One day, Leora was walking through the market area when she heard familiar voices. 3 Villani nobles stood nearby, speaking loudly enough for her to hear. Look, it is the Hollow Bride, one of them said. Playing house with her human pet? Such a waste, another added. Though I suppose she cannot waste what she never had. What use is a woman who cannot give children? The humans do not know yet. When they find out, they will throw her away like we did. Leora walked faster, her eyes burning with tears she refused to let fall. She returned to Taiho's quarters and sat alone in the dark. That was where Taiho found her, hours later. He sat down beside her, not speaking, just waiting. Leora felt the silence grow heavy until she could not hold it anymore. I need to tell you something, she said. Her voice was shaking. About why they sent me to you, Taiho listened. Among my people, I am called Hollow, Barren. The royal doctors tested me when I was young. They said, my body cannot carry children. A Villani woman who cannot give heirs is worthless. That is why my family sent me here. They were not giving you a gift. They were throwing away garbage. The words hurt to say. Leora waited for the disgust, the disappointment, the rejection. She waited for Taiho to realize the truth, that he had been tricked, that she was broken. Instead, Taiho reached over and gently took her hand. Look at me, he said. Leora looked up. There were tears on her cheeks. But Taiho's eyes were not angry. They were sad, sad for her. I did not marry you for children, he said. I did not marry you for politics or alliances or treaties. I married you because you were sent to me, alone and scared, and you deserved someone who would see you. Not a princess, not a tool. You. Leora could not speak. The words hit her like waves, one after another. You are not garbage, Taiho continued. You are not broken. You are Leora, and that is enough. That will always be enough. Something inside Leora cracked open. All the years of pain, all the loneliness, all the shame, it came pouring out. She cried harder than she had ever cried before, and Taiho held her. Not because he wanted something, just because she needed to be held. When the tears finally stopped, Leora felt empty. But it was a good kind of empty, like a wound that had been cleaned, like poison that had been drained. Thank you, she whispered. Taiho smiled softly. You do not need to thank me for being human. But that was exactly it, Leora thought. He was human. And humans, she was beginning to learn, were nothing like what she had been told. They were so much more. That night, Leora looked at herself in the mirror. Her silver skin, which had been dull for so many years, had a faint glow to it. Among Villani, glowing skin was a sign of happiness, of emotional health. She had not glowed since she was a child. She touched her cheek and smiled. For the first time in her life, Leora did not feel hollow. She felt full. Full of warmth, full of hope, full of something that might just be the beginning of love. 3 months had passed since Leora arrived on Station Varus. 3 months of learning, of growing, of healing. She had discovered that she loved human music. She had learned to cook simple human meals with Taiho. She had laughed more in these 3 months than in all her years in the Villani Palace. But lately, something was wrong with her body. It started small. She felt tired all the time, even when she slept well. Food that she usually enjoyed began to taste strange. Some mornings she felt sick and had to stay in bed. Her senses seemed sharper than before. She could smell things from far away. Sounds that never bothered her now seemed too loud. Leora tried to ignore it. She thought maybe it was her body adjusting to human food. Or perhaps the station's artificial air was affecting her. She did not want to complain. She did not want Taiho to think she was weak, but Yuna noticed. "You look pale," Yuna said one afternoon. They were sitting in the garden together, surrounded by flowers. "More pale than usual, I mean? Are you feeling okay?" "I am fine," Leora said. But even as she spoke, a wave of nausea hit her. She closed her eyes and took deep breaths. Yuna watched her carefully. As a xenobiologist, she had studied many alien species. She knew the signs of illness. But she also knew other signs. Signs that most people would never think of when looking at someone like Leora. "When did these symptoms start?" Yuna asked. "A few weeks ago, maybe more. I thought it was nothing." Yuna was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke gently. "Leora, I think you should see a doctor, just to be safe. My friend Dr. Sora works at the medical bay. She is very good and very kind. Will you let her examine you?" Leora felt fear rise in her chest. What if something was really wrong? What if she was dying? Part of her thought that might be fitting. The hollow princess, finally fading away. But another part of her, a stronger part, did not want to die. She had just found happiness. She had just found Taiho. She wanted to live. "Okay," she said. "I will go." The medical bay was bright and clean. Dr. Sora was a young woman with gentle hands and a calm voice. She asked Leora many questions about her symptoms. She took blood samples and ran scans. Leora waited on the examination table, her hands clasped together tightly. An hour passed, then another. Dr. Sora ran the same tests again. And again, her face showed confusion, then disbelief, then something that looked almost like wonder. Finally, she turned to Leora. "I need to ask you a personal question. Have you and Ambassador Taiho been intimate?" Leora's cheeks turned silver with embarrassment. "Yes, but why does that matter?" "I cannot. I am hollow, barren. I cannot conceive." Dr. Sora shook her head slowly. "Princess Leora, I have run these tests 5 times. I have checked every result. There is no mistake." She paused and took a breath. "You are pregnant." The world stopped. Leora heard the words, but they did not make sense. They could not make sense. She had been tested by the best Villani doctors. They had all said the same thing. Her body could not carry children. It was impossible. "It cannot be right," Leora whispered. "I am hollow." "The doctors said the Villani doctors tested you with Villani males," Dr. Sora explained. "Your genetic markers are incompatible with your own species, but human DNA is different. It is flexible, adaptable. Human reproductive biology can bridge gaps that should not be possible. Your body and Taiho's body found a way to create life together." Leora could not breathe. Her hands moved to her stomach. There was nothing to feel yet, but something was there. Something growing. Something alive? "Are you certain?" she asked. Dr. Sora smiled. "I am certain. You are going to be a mother." The tears came then. Not tears of sadness. Not tears of pain. Tears of pure, overwhelming joy. Leora cried and laughed at the same time. She pressed her hands against her stomach. It's like she was holding the most precious thing in the universe, because she was. Dr. Sora called Taiho. He came running, his face full of worry. He burst into the medical bay and saw Leora crying. He rushed to her side, taking her hands in his. "What is wrong?" he asked. "Are you sick? Tell me what I can do." Leora looked up at him. Her violet eyes were shining with tears, but she was smiling. Smiling wider than she had ever smiled before. "I am not hollow," she said. Tahoe did not understand. "What do you mean?" "Tahoe." Leora took his hand and placed it on her stomach. "I am going to have a baby, your baby." Our baby Tahoe's face went through many emotions, confusion, shock, disbelief, and then slowly, understanding. His eyes grew wet. His hand trembled against her stomach. "But I thought, you said the Villani doctors were wrong. Or maybe they were right, but only for Villani. Humans are different. You are different." Leora laughed through her tears. "You gave me something no one else in the galaxy could give me. You gave me a miracle." Tahoe pulled her into his arms. He held her tight, his face buried in her hair. He was crying now, too. Crying and laughing and saying her name over and over. "Leora! My Leora!" They stayed like that for a long time. Two people holding each other. A family beginning. When the news spread through the station, the reactions were mixed. Yuna screamed with joy and immediately started planning everything. Minho clapped Tahoe on the back so hard he almost fell over. The human staff sent gifts and well wishes. But the Villani ambassadors heard the news too. At first they laughed. "Impossible," they said. "The Hollow Princess cannot conceive. This is a lie. A desperate trick to gain sympathy." But then they saw Leora in the corridors. They saw the glow of her skin, brighter than ever before. They saw the protective way Tahoe walked beside her. They saw the medical reports that Dr. Sora released to prove the truth. The laughter stopped. The ambassadors sent urgent messages back to the Villani Empire. A princess they had thrown away like garbage was now carrying a child. The first human Villani hybrid in history. A miracle that should have been impossible. In the great hall of the Villani Imperial Palace, High Empress Vela read the report in silence. Her face showed no emotion, but her hands were shaking. Prince Keon stood beside her, his arrogant smile gone. "This changes things," he said quietly. "Yes," the High Empress replied. "It does." Far away on Station Varus, Leora stood at the window, looking at the stars. Her hand rested on her stomach. Inside her, a tiny life was growing. A life that should not exist. A life that proved everyone wrong. She thought about all the times she had been called worthless. All the times she had believed it. All the times she had wished she could disappear. Now she understood. She was not worthless. She had never been worthless. She had just been waiting. Waiting for someone who could see her true value. Tahoe came to stand beside her. He wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "What are you thinking?" he asked. Leora smiled. "I am thinking that the galaxy is about to change. And I am thinking that I am glad I am not alone when it happens." Tahoe kissed the top of her head. "You will never be alone again. I promise." And Leora believed him. The news spread like fire through the galaxy. Every planet, every station, every ship heard the story. The Barren Villani princess, sent away in disgrace, was now carrying a child. The first human Villani hybrid in history. Scientists were amazed. Politicians were nervous. The common people were fascinated. Everyone had an opinion. Everyone wanted to know more. On Station Varus, Leora could not walk through the corridors without being stared at. Reporters from 100 worlds sent requests for interviews. Researchers begged for a chance to study her. Diplomats sent messages asking about the political implications. Tahoe protected her from most of it. He turned away the reporters. He rejected the researchers. He told the diplomats to wait. Leora's health and peace were more important than politics. But not all attention could be avoided. 1 month after the announcement, a Villani warship arrived at Station Varus. It carried a message from High Empress Vela herself. The message was formal and cold, but its meaning was clear. Princess Leora was to return to the Villani Empire immediately. They say it is for my safety, Leora said, reading the message. Her voice was bitter. They say they want to protect me and the child. They say I belong at home. Home, Yuna said angrily. They threw you out like garbage. Now that you have something valuable, they want you back? Tai-Ho was quiet. His jaw was tight. His hands were fists at his sides. What do you want to do? He asked Leora. Leora looked at the message for a long time. She thought about the Villani Palace. She thought about the cold halls, the cruel laughter, the years of loneliness. She thought about her mother who never loved her, her brother who had planned her exile. Then she thought about Station Varus, the warm lights, the garden full of flowers, Yuna's hugs and Minho's jokes, Tai-Ho's gentle hands and kind eyes, the life growing inside her. I am not going back, she said. Her voice was calm but firm. There was no doubt in it. No fear? Yuna cheered. Minho grinned. Tai-Ho let out a breath he had been holding. Then you will not go back, Tai-Ho said. This is your home now. No one will take you from it. But the Villani Empire did not accept refusal easily. Prince Kion himself sent a transmission to Station Varus. His face appeared on the screen. Handsome and arrogant as always. But there was something else in his eyes now. Hunger, greed. Dear sister, he said with a fake smile, you must understand the situation. This child you carry is of royal blood. It belongs to the Empire. You have a duty to return. Duty. Leora stepped forward to face the screen. You speak to me of duty? You who sent me away to die among strangers. You who laughed as I left? I have no duty to an empire that saw me as nothing. Kion's smile faded. You are being emotional. The doctors say it is normal during pregnancy. Come home, Leora. We will forgive your foolishness. I do not want your forgiveness. I want nothing from you. And think of the child. Do you want your baby to grow up among humans? Among these primitives? Leora felt anger rise inside her. Hot and powerful. For the first time in her life, she did not push it down. She let it burn. These primitives, she said slowly, showed me more kindness in 3 months than our empire showed me in 30 years. They did not care that I was hollow. They did not treat me like broken goods. They saw me as a person, something our people never learned to do. Kion's face twisted with anger. You shame our family. You shame our entire species.
Oh, brother.
You shamed me. All of you shamed me. And now, when I finally have something precious, you want to steal it. But you cannot have it. You cannot have me. I am not your property anymore. She ended the transmission. The screen went dark. Leora was breathing hard, her whole body shaking. But she felt strong. Stronger than she had ever felt. Tai-Ho stood behind her. He put his hand on her shoulder. That was incredible, he said softly. That was terrifying, Leora admitted. But it needed to be said. The response from the Villani Empire was swift. High Empress Vela demanded a public broadcast. She wanted to speak to Leora directly in front of the entire galaxy. It is a trap, Minho warned. She wants to humiliate you publicly. Make you look like a traitor, or she wants to show strength, Tai-Ho added. Prove that the Empire is still in control. Leora thought about it. Then she nodded. I will speak to her, but not as a weak princess begging for freedom. I will speak as someone who finally knows her worth. The broadcast was arranged. Screens across the galaxy showed the split image. On one side, High Empress Vela in her throne room, surrounded by nobles in fine robes. On the other side, Leora in a simple human room, with Tai-Ho standing beside her. Daughter, the High Empress began. Her voice was ice. This foolishness has gone on long enough. Return to your empire. Return to your family. The child you carry is Villani. It must be raised among its own kind. Leora looked at her mother. She saw the cold eyes, the proud face, the complete lack of love, and she felt nothing. No fear, no longing. Just peace. You called me hollow, Leora said. Her voice was clear and steady. You laughed when you sent me away. You gave me 2 humans expecting nothing. You wanted me to suffer in silence while you gained military support for my shame. The nobles in the throne room shifted uncomfortably. This was not how a princess should speak to the empress. But the humans gave me everything, Leora continued. They gave me dignity. They gave me love. And now they have given me life itself. The very thing you said was impossible. She touched her stomach gently. This child is not a Vellani child. This child is not a human child. This child is something new, something beautiful, something that our 2 peoples created together. And she will not be raised in an empire that sees people as tools. She, the High Empress said. You know it is a girl? Leora smiled. Yes, a daughter. And I will teach her that her worth does not depend on what she can give others. I will teach her that she is valuable simply because she exists. I will teach her everything that you never taught me. The High Empress's face showed no emotion, but her hands gripped the arms of her throne tightly. If you do not return, she said, you will be declared in exile. No longer a princess. No longer Vellani. You will have nothing. Leora shook her head. I will have everything that matters. I will have a husband who loves me, friends who care for me, a daughter who will grow up knowing she is wanted. She paused. I will have more than you have ever had, Mother. The transmission ended. The galaxy went silent. Then, slowly, reactions began to pour in. Humans across the Federation celebrated. They saw Leora's courage. They heard her words about dignity and love. She became a symbol of everything humanity believed in. Captain. Minho quietly moved his fleet closer to Station Varus. A warning to any Vellani ship that might try something foolish. And in the great hall of the Vellani Imperial Palace, High Empress Vela sat alone in the darkness. Her own daughter had rejected her before the entire galaxy. Her own plan to discard a worthless princess had backfired in the most spectacular way possible. The Hollow Princess was hollow no more. And the galaxy would never forget it. 6 months had passed since Leora's broadcast to the galaxy. 6 months of waiting, of hoping, preparing for the arrival of a child that should not exist. Leora's body had changed in ways she never expected. Her stomach grew round and full. The life inside her moved and kicked, reminding her every day that she was no longer hollow. Her silver skin glowed brighter than ever, shimmering like starlight. Taiho stayed by her side through everything. He learned Vellani lullabies from old recordings and sang them to her stomach. He painted the baby's room in soft colors of purple and gold. He held Leora's hand during long nights when she could not sleep. Are you afraid? Leora asked him one night. They were lying in bed, her head on his chest, his hand resting on her belly. Terrified, Taiho admitted. I have never been a father before. What if I do something wrong? Then we will figure it out together, Leora said. That is what families do. Family. The word still felt strange on Leora's tongue. She had never really had one before. But now, looking at Taiho, feeling the baby move inside her, she understood what it truly meant. Family was not about blood or duty. It was about love. About choosing each other every single day. The baby came on a quiet night in the middle of spring. Lara woke up with pain in her belly. It was sharp and strong, like nothing she had felt before. Taiho was awake immediately, his eyes wide with worry. Is it time? He asked. I think so, Leora breathed. They rushed to the medical bay. Dr. Sora was already prepared. She had been waiting for this moment for months. The whole station had been waiting. The labor was long and hard. Leora gripped Taiho's hand so tightly that her silver nails left marks on his skin, but he never complained. He whispered words of encouragement. He wiped the sweat from her forehead. He told her she was brave, that she was strong, that she was almost there. And then, after hours of pain and struggle, a new sound filled the room. A baby's cry. Dr. Sora smiled as she held up the tiny child. She is perfect, she said. Completely healthy. Congratulations. The baby was placed in Leora's arms. She was small and warm and beautiful. Her skin was a soft shade between silver and tan. Her eyes, when she opened them, were violet, like her mother's. But her face, the shape of her nose and lips, that was all Taiho. "Hello, little one," Leora whispered. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Hello, my miracle." Taiho leaned over them both, his own eyes wet. He touched the baby's tiny hand, and her fingers wrapped around his thumb. Such a small grip, such a powerful feeling. "What should we call her?" Taiho asked. Liora thought about it. She thought about her journey, about being discarded by her people, about finding love in the most unexpected place, about proving everyone wrong. "Hannah," she said finally. "It means flower in your language. Something beautiful that grows from nothing." Taiho smiled. "Hannah, it is perfect." The news of Hannah's birth spread across the galaxy within hours. Scientists celebrated the successful first hybrid birth. Politicians debated what it meant for the future. Common people simply marveled at the miracle. But the greatest change came from the alien species who had always looked down on humans. For centuries, humans had been seen as primitive, useful for their military strength, but nothing more. Their emotions were considered a weakness. Their short lifespans were pitied. They were tolerated, not respected. But Hannah changed everything. Human DNA had done something that the advanced Villani could not. It had adapted. It had bridged a genetic gap that should have been impossible. Scientists from other species began studying human biology with new interest. They discovered that human reproductive genetics were extraordinarily flexible. Humans could potentially form bonds with species that had never been able to reproduce together. Suddenly, humans were not primitive anymore. They were bridges, connectors, the species that could unite others who had never been able to unite themselves. Ambassadors from dozens of worlds sent messages to the Human Federation. They wanted to discuss alliances, partnerships, new relationships built on respect. Instead of convenience, the galaxy was changing. And a tiny baby girl was the reason why. 3 months after Hannah's birth, the Villani Empire requested a meeting. Not a demand. A request. High Empress Vela was not there. Instead, a new representative came. A younger diplomat with softer eyes and a more humble voice. "The Empire wishes to apologize," he said to Taiho and Leora. "We treated Princess Leora badly. We were wrong. We hope that in time, we can build a better relationship." Leora listened to the apology. She did not feel anger anymore. She did not feel satisfaction either. She just felt tired of the past. "I will not return to the Empire," she said clearly. "But I will not close the door forever. For my daughter's sake, I want her to know both sides of her heritage. Perhaps someday, when things have truly changed, we can talk again." The diplomat nodded. It was more than he had expected. It was a beginning that evening. Leora stood at the observation deck of Station Varus. Hannah slept in her arms, wrapped in a soft blanket. Through the glass, a million stars glittered against the darkness of space. Taiho came to stand beside her. He looked at their daughter, then at the stars, then at Leora.
"What are you thinking?"
he asked. "I am thinking about the day I arrived here," Leora said. "I thought I was being punished. I thought my life was over. I was so sure that I would die alone and forgotten. And now..." Leora smiled. She looked down at Hannah's sleeping face, at the tiny miracle that had proven the entire galaxy wrong. "Now I understand that I was not being punished. I was being saved. Every terrible thing that happened to me led me here, to you, to her, to this moment." Taiho put his arm around her. "Do you ever regret it? Being sent here?" Leora thought about the question. She thought about her cold mother, her cruel brother, the years of being invisible. Then she thought about Taiho's warm hands, Yuna's bright laugh, Minho's loud jokes. She thought about chocolate and gardens and card games. She thought about love. "They meant it as a punishment," she said slowly. "They wanted to throw me away and forget I existed. But they made a mistake." "What mistake?" Leora looked up at Taiho. Her violet eyes were shining with tears of happiness. "They gave me 2 humans," she said. "And humans do not throw people away." Humans see the broken ones, the lost ones, the hollow ones, and they love them anyway. That is your gift. That is what makes your species special. Taiho leaned down and kissed her forehead. Our species now, he said. You are one of us. Leora laughed softly. Yes, I suppose I am. Hannah stirred in her sleep, making a small sound. Her tiny hand reached out and grabbed Leora's finger. In that moment, holding her daughter under the starlight, Leora felt complete. She had been called worthless. She had been called hollow. She had been discarded by her own people like garbage. But she was not garbage. She was a mother, a wife. A bridge between worlds, she was Leora, and she had never been more full of life. The stars stretched out before them, endless and bright. Somewhere out there, a galaxy was changing. Old hatreds were fading. New hopes were being born. And it all started with a barren princess who was sent to a human, the miracle that stunned them.